Is not in isolation. It is in the middle of the market, and it is in the middle of the street. And that's how I grew up. Earlier, I grew up in the market, selling the things on the street. So that's how I see writing. People interact with me, I interact with them. I tell my opinion, I say what I think, I say, and they say. And we move on. We understand that it is part of the sociality. If I meet the person, I will never say the same thing I say on social media to the person. So the person will understand that is the social media character, and it has its own function as well. And that function helped free prisoners, a few, so we could free a substantial amount, more than 100 actually. So through campaigning, personal campaigning, group campaigning, build schools, fundraising, and so a few thousands of kids went to school since 2016, right? So, and etc., bridges, things like that. So the dollar is pretty strong. So when somebody gives $1, it has a significance in a country like Cameroon. I suspect in Kenya as well. So print T-shirts. There's one T-shirt of mine out there, Je suis Munjak, and the first sentence, it's a sentence. The book is a succession of sentences. So I suspect you do nothing else but to write sentences one after another. So it is a sentence as well. And a sentence like that, free people, I am Uno was a prisoner, we campaign with that, he's free. I am this school, we campaign with that, we build a school. We campaign with social media as well, you see. So it depends on the way we use the sentence, we use the technology. My own beef is that, just to come back to what I was saying before about the pan narrative, is that Africa cut itself from the conversation of the moment. So after COVID, it just seems to me, I say it again, Russia, and of course BRICS. Writing is not only using the technology to write, writing is also inventing the technology of writing. So my 3 books talk about people who invented alphabets. Actually, to write, you need alphabet. Without that, you will not have written anything. So you need 26 letters. The Bible is 26 letters, the Quran, etc., etc. So you need the alphabet. So my books are about people who invented alphabets, Africans. And those alphabets were banned by the French. So if one had during colonialism the capacity to see through writing and think that it is not only a used medium, it is also a technology that one can invent. If one will think about that during the 19th century, I am sure one will think about the fact that coding should be part of writing. And I'm always shocked that in our high schools, in our schools, our kids, 6 years old, 10 years old, etc., do not learn coding, do not take it seriously. One class, I say seriously, because that is the future of writing. I'm not even talking about content, because even if you talk about the content of technology, for instance, video games, we write novels, it's just a genre. But video games are a genre as well. I mean, we are here on the stage, we can have a play, but it is a genre. But video games are a genre as well, that's related to specific technology. Producing content for those videos for our writers who say they don't have money, they starve, they don't have, etc. With that, we have millions of, video games are what all kids want to have nowadays, with content. So with the technology itself, the coding we have from Asia, from China, from India, the technology has come in. Where's Africa there? Absent. Of course, one will say you have a small chapter of somebody who is doing something there, but what I'm talking about is that I would like to see a Mark Zuckerberg who is African. I would like to see that, right? Not of today. Mark Zuckerberg is obviously already the past. I'm talking about the one of in 5 years, in 10 years. That's what we're talking about, because the only thing he does is coding. That's nothing else, it's writing. And we writers, can we do that? Should we do that? Should we not do that? So when I say Russia, that is what I mean. I mean, we are shaping the future, and we are seeing the future escape us. Europe is passé, Europe has been defeated, clearly Ukraine, it's finished. But the future, how are you going to shape it? That one is the question.
I want to open it to the audience, but before I do so, I just want to ask you all to reflect on the question of hope, particularly because during times of crises, a lot of people do turn to novels, they do turn to books, and to reading because in many ways literature is about emotion, it's about interaction, it's about you know, the now and the past and the beyond. And I just want to maybe each one of you to just reflect on like ways to place of hope in your own work today. Maybe Yvonne, you could go first.
Yeah. About hope. Actually, sometimes I think of my works as exorcisms. And exorcisms are messy, right? Like birth. Birth is also messy. But exorcisms are messy. And that which is an obstacle to that, to that which should be full of life. The mess is in the writing, in the confrontation with the abyss, with the darkness. But once it is achieved, once the ritual has achieved its purpose, light flows through. And so I do not separate the entry, the writer's entry into the abyss, or looking down the abyss, from the opening up of the pathways, so that light may come through again. Somebody says, the idea of going down the labyrinth in order to meet the Minotaur, to either kill, engage, dialogue with, tame, or become the Minotaur. That's part of the process of, that's part of the creative process. And once the Minotaur is encountered, inevitably, especially if the Minotaur dies, then the labyrinth can be opened up to more light. So I think they are sides of a single coin.
Abdulai?
We are currently in a kind of, as a friend of mine would say, anticipation day. Those young people that, who go or try to get real by any means they think possible. They are doing so because they believe in something, because they have a hope that they can achieve something with it. And they put in their own lives at risk. So the key word there is hope. So if we anticipate and let those young people believe that there is room for hope in their own country, they will look for it there, not elsewhere. So it is really very important to all of us to do whatever it takes to be part of the anticipations game, putting hope in the head of these fellow citizens, because otherwise their mind will be filled up with another kind of hope, which will lead to killing each other. For what purpose? I don't know. So let's work for another purpose, which is shaping hope, creating hope, crafting hope.
Thank you. Abdulrazak?
Well, yes, of course, hope. Where would we be without that? I've been saying, and I believe, and I really, one of the things that I admire about human beings, I don't admire everything or even very much, but one of the things I do admire is that capacity to retrieve something from traumatic experience. And of course, trauma also comes in very different varieties. It doesn't have to be violence, it doesn't have to be displacement. it can be other things too. It can be growing up. But in any case, but one of the things I think is admirable about us as human beings, on the whole, is this ability, life has not crushed us completely, to retrieve something from traumatic events. And what makes that possible, of course, is that we're still able to think there is another life, another way of being is possible. So that's how I see what hope means. But also I should add that hope is a complicated concept and idea. Hope is also envy, in a way, depending on how it comes. I would like to be like that or like this. In which case, it's not the same kind of benign idea of hope that I've been describing. And for some reason, for completely unrelated reason, but I will mention it anyway, the lines from Ash Wednesday, I think, T.S. Eliot's poem, because I do not hope to turn again, because I do not hope. And I don't know why that's been going through my mind, because I do hope. And I think what he was meaning was a different kind of idea, which is still hope, but it's a hope that resigns itself to whatever life brings. So what he was saying is that now I'm kind of not so much content, but I am resigned. I found a place of peace and sense. So there are different ways of thinking about it. But essentially, it is, I think, is what keeps us above that sort of line that goes underground, where the Minotaur lives.